Right guys, so this video, this is kind of adding one of the major elements to the game of adding high score and a score system that tracks between when you're playing it and stuff. So what we're going to do for this is, it's not too bad this, it's complicated but not at the same time. So this is all going to be set up, we're going to set the score up first and then we're going to go in and we're going to put the UI element in again. So we're going to go into the helicopter controller again, because this is where we're keeping the score at the moment. In some games you might keep the score elsewhere, but for here it just makes life a little bit easier just having this script with the score and the movement and stuff in. So to start with, we're going to go into here. Yours will look like this. I'm just going to add a new public int, and this int is obviously going to be high score. Then we're going to go to the start function, and I'm going to say high score equals player prefs dot get int. And then in brackets, we're going to set something called a string key. So I'm going to just call this high score, and then the default value, if there is nothing in high score, will be 0. You need to make sure you remember this key here, because we're going to use it again. So I'm just going to copy it. And then we are going to go down to the function where we die. So it's going to set the high score every time we die. If we get more in that game, then it will change the high score. Because what I don't want it doing is I don't want it having to run a high score check every time we get a score. And I don't want it to do it in the update function. So I'm just going to do it just before we die. It checks the score. If the score is higher than the high score, it'll update the high score and then we'll die. So this is quite simple. It's an if statement within an if statement, if that makes sense. So if score is greater than high score, then open curly bracket, close curly bracket. Then, so what we're saying here is, obviously, it's pretty simple. If the score that we've just got is higher than the high score, we need to obviously set the high score. So we go player prefs dot set int, because we've got the int, or we've got the integer up here, but here we're going to be setting it. And then we need to put the high score key in, which is obviously high score, but we need to put this in speech marks, whatever you want to call them. And then what we're going to set it to is we're just going to set it to score. Close that line, nice and simple. And then the last thing we need to do is, once it's done this, we just need to save the player prefs. So we're almost there, we're almost complete. I'm just going to tidy that up. We're just going to have a very similar line here to keep hold of the text for this. So I'm just going to set this up as well. Public text, high score text. This will feel very similar because we've done this before. And I'm going to have high score text dot text equals, and then we're going to do the whole setting up the text at the same time. So high score colon space speech mark plus high score dot to string open bracket close bracket and finish the line. So we're nearly sorted with this. The only thing we need to do now is we save all of that, go back into Unity. I'm going to duplicate, I'm going to first name this. So this is obviously our score text, and then I'm going to duplicate it by pressing Control and D. Call this high score. You got to make sure when you rename something you hit enter as well for it to confirm it. I've just been doing that and just realised that I haven't said anything about that yet. And I want it to stay online with this, but I want it to be in the other corner. So I'm from 0 to 0.2 here, so I want to be 0.8 to 1 there, so that it's at the other side. So, last thing to do is to go to the helicopter. Obviously, we've now got a text section here that's not set up. Put that in there, click play, and you'll see that we'll start The high score is obviously 0 because we don't have a high score yet. So if I get 1, so my score's going to 1, I'll hit this, we'll start again. As you can see, my high score is now set to 1. I'll show you one more time. So I'll go in here. So that's a score of 2. Crash into this. Right, my high score is now 2. However, if I start the game and stop the game and then start the game again, you'll see that already my high score is set to 2 because it saves the player prefs. So that's score essentially. We've got the score working, and now we've even got a save system for making sure that we know what the high score is between plays of the game. So if this is on an Android phone, it will also save a file to the Android phone, and you'll be able to reference the high score even if you close the app down and open it again. So there we go, that's player prefs high score done. The next video, I'm just going to tidy up a couple of things, and then the core game's pretty much complete. But thanks a lot, I'll catch you in the next video.